What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Greyscalegorilla podcast. We are on episode 56. Can't believe it's 56. Welcome to the show. As always, we've got our man, Chris Schmidt.
Hey, what's going on?
And Nick is back in the studio.
He's back.
Back, baby. Got the real Wi-Fi. I'm not doing that hotel Wi-Fi anymore. I'm in the studio. Hopefully, I got my extra nice camera looking good. Hopefully, get a little bit of a little relaxation. I got some work done. But mostly, I'm just glad to be back home and it's not snow all over the ground. So that's good.
I got a quick question, Nick. If you had to pick your one favorite thing from your trip, what was it?
Oh boy, I do everything in twos, so I got to cheat.
No, just one, and we'll cut you off.
Yeah, I would say the national parks. So we saw 5 national parks this trip. I don't know if I can name them all right now. Zion, Bryce, Rocky Mountain National Park, Joshua Tree, and maybe a couple little state parks too, like Fire Valley and Valley of Fire. And anyway, I think we saw 5 or 6 national parks. And what struck me was how they came together. Like the fact that there was a group of people in whenever that was 20s, 30s that decided, all right, we're going to block off sections, whole entire giant miles and miles and miles of sections of the United States to get blocked off that we're going to protect and close off to, any development and just say, these are part of America now. And you could just come and enjoy it. I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm glad those exist. So learning the history of that was really cool. And secondarily, just seeing the variation of what is possible in the United States. So I think one of the misconceptions of people from like Europe are they're like, oh, people from the States, they just stay in the United States. Like they're not travelers. They just stay in the States. And if you overlay like a map of Europe on top of the map of the United States, you realize like how freaking big it is, right? So for me, it's like seeing all the variations of just what's possible in one country was bonkers. Like mountains, desert, like the Valley of Fire stuff's like sand just going on forever. We've been to white sands before, which is literally you can go to the middle and just look around and it's all white mountains. So seeing the States and seeing America in a way that wasn't just through a postcard is really cool. I sit in front of a computer for a living, and so it's really nice to get out there and see a little bit of the country. So if you're going to leave it at one, I'll tell you one. And if you guys want to hear the second one, just let me know in the comments. I'll tell you next week.
That is true, man. Like there's so many different climates and kind of outdoorsy things you can do in the United States. And you can see like Florida kind of feels kind of really humid and almost jungle-like, and then you can go to the desert, and then you can go to the Colorado Rocky Mountains and all that. It's just so many different things that you can experience here. It's pretty crazy. I definitely need to do more traveling, and I'm jealous that you got to see all those places, because that's something that I would love to do someday.
It was really fun. And I think I may have told the long version of this story, but just to clarify, I've been doing this road trip every year. Basically since I started Greyscalegorilla, and it was in a way kind of my New Year's. In a way, it was kind of my like little break from computer work to go out, see the world, and really think about what I wanted to accomplish in the next year. And I would be in a car by myself for hours and hours and hours. So I'd go out, think about it, listen to podcasts, read audiobooks related to some of the issues I was having with starting a business and all this stuff. And I would come back with a new focus, right? And, and now I have a lot of things planned out. Like the next year of what we're trying to accomplish and tackle comes from that. And now, so when I got married, Marie flew out. So this was 3 years ago. Marie flew out and joined me in Salt Lake City. And we were just kind of going to go back home, like go the 80 way through Nebraska and kind of do the boring way. And a friend of ours was like, wait a minute, you guys are married, you don't have kids yet, and you have a little bit of time to go like see some of the country. We're like, oh yeah, maybe we should actually go make this a bigger part of the trip and not just hurry back home, right? We both are, lucky enough to work from home or work from wherever there's an internet. We could do that. So we started going and seeing parts of the country we've never been. And this year was the furthest we've ever been. We drove all the way to the coast. And like I jumped in, the ocean from driving from Detroit, which I think is kind of fun. But once Marie joined the road trip, she's like, I want to go see all these national parks. And honestly, at first I'm like, well, I don't, they all kind of seem like they'd be the same to me or something. Like once you've seen 3, you're fine. But as she's planned all these, I realize each one is so unique and so interesting and so fun. So I'm excited to see more. I think we're up to like, we've seen like 13 of them or 12 of them or something, and we're trying to hit them all. So we'll see. Cool. We'll see how long it takes, but it was really fun. It's cool to have her on the trip to kind of like, push me in different directions as well. Not just go to where pinball machines exist. Although we did do that too.
Well, glad to have you back, man. Now we should probably move on to some news. What do we got going on in news? GSG news. It's been a pretty slow week, pretty regular week.
Yeah, we got a tutorial. I think might be coming out tomorrow. I know we got a new tutorial coming out soon.
Yep.
And Lutz was launched. What now? 3-4 weeks ago.
2 weeks, I believe.
2 weeks ago. And that's been doing really well. We love hearing the stories of how you guys are using it. If you haven't seen HDRI or if you haven't seen Greyscalegorilla Gorilla Grade Lutz, go check it out on the website. What's really cool about this is people from different, not just Cinema 4D people are starting to use this, and we're getting, feedback from them. So we'd love to hear from you guys too, if you're using it with Cinema or not. So we'd love to hear feedback for that. Any other news, Chad, Chris?
Lots of stuff that we've been working on. Nothing we can really talk about.
Yeah, though. I mean, we've got so many things cooking, like behind the scenes right now.
We got NAB coming up, which we'll have some more news about that as they announce the times. So the only thing we could talk about now is that we're all going to be at NAB. If you're going to be in Las Vegas during the NAB, please come say hi. We're going to have a booth this year, which is right next to the Maxon booth. So if you see the Maxon Cinema 4D booth, come around and find one of us. We'll be there. Come say hi. And we got some swag. I don't think we decided if it's swag or swag yet. Did we figure that one out?
I'm pretty sure it's swag, right?
It's got to be swag because otherwise you're adding in a bunch of letters that aren't actually there. But it's more fun to say.
It is more fun to say. Well, come get some stuff. Come say hi. We'd love to see you. And look on c4dlive.com very soon for a schedule. They usually put the schedule out and start showing, who presents when. We all have some really fun presentations coming up. So we hope to see you in Vegas. And by the way, if you can't make it to Vegas, they're going to do the live thing again, where you can watch the show live on c4dlive.com. So make sure you go there, sign up as well.
Oh, yeah. You know what? And we are going to be doing lots of interesting live casts and streams and such from Vegas. Mostly just GSG, getting drunk and blowing all of our savings, just that kind of stuff.
I was just say, like a pool party live stream.
I'm going to document the whole thing. I forgot to show. I got this really cool, I'm pointing at it as if everybody hearing this and not watching it knows what I'm doing. But I have this cool gimbal rig that I'm going to be shooting a lot of behind the scenes stuff for, so that after NAB, people can kind of see what we do on the show floor and how we operate, what we're showing off. And
I would say Instagram. Join us on Instagram if you haven't already. That'd probably be the place we'll be showing as much as we can live. So Instagram, they obviously have the live feature, which might be hard from the show floor, but maybe from from one of the breweries or whatever we're going to be around, we could start to stream. So I'll just say this: if you want to follow more about NAB, what's going on there, what Greyscalegorilla is up to, and any fun interviews we get into with other people that'll be at NAB, follow us on Instagram. That'd probably be the easiest way to do it.
Cool. So yeah, let's get into it. First, let's
quick
talk
follow-up.
about... Oh yeah, what's up?
Just some quick follow-up from last week. I want to say it might be our most commented on podcast episode. It's up
Really?
there. Maybe the rendering one, the first render wars one might be up
Oh,
there.
the one where you had your moment.
Where I had my PC Mac moment. That might be the most comments. Mostly just
That was more people saying how bad they felt for you.
they're like, Nick, you look so I've never seen Nick look sad. So thanks for all the comments there. But last week we talked about daily renders and maybe some best practices for doing a daily render and why you get into it and all that stuff. We had a ton of great comments from you guys. So I just want to thank everybody that left a comment. We try to keep up and at least try to respond to as many as we can right when they come out. So just thanks to everybody that did that. And we also have some reviews here on the iTunes part of the podcast that I wanted to just give a shout out to. Let's see, Kern Dog. Thank you, Kern Dog, for the Kern Dog gave us a review. I appreciate it. And Jonathan QQQQ, which I maybe just hit his keyboard a couple too many times there. That's okay. But Jonathan, thank you for the reviews there on iTunes. That stuff helps out a lot. Gets the podcast out to more people. So that was it. Just a little follow up. So what are we talking about today, guys?
Well, that last week's podcast was pretty interesting, I gotta say. I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people were like, I hate it when mom and dad fight. Like, like they didn't want to, they don't like it, But then there was a lot of people that really enjoyed the spirited debate, which I think is people should have more of those kind of spirited debates. You don't have to agree about everything, and you don't have to, like, we disagree on stuff. A lot of people probably, maybe they think that we don't, because we do appear like a pretty unified front most of the time, but we have arguments behind the scenes about products, about marketing, things like that. Nothing that's like nothing's ever personal. It's just like that's how you work through stuff, is like you have to have a point of view and you have to be open to other people's points of view. And that's what makes a healthy company, I think. And anyway.
Yeah, but between the three of us, it seemed like everybody had a horse they could back for the daily render stuff, where it's like, no, Nick's right. Like, you gotta encourage people, you gotta really back people up and let them try it out. And then other people are like, I hate daily renders. Why are they even happening? This is so ridiculous. And then to be fair, and I think that we do appreciate some of the irony, but like, we create tutorials and we do tutorials for free. So, a lot of stuff that we do ends up making its way through. I mean, the like Greyscalegorilla is famous for shiny spheres because of Nick. So, almost anytime you see a shiny sphere, you can almost be like, oh, that's derivative Greyscalegorilla. And now they're complaining about floating spheres in space. It's like, well, we always are encouraging people to try and change everything and make it their own. But
right, but
that's fair. That's fair.
Not to get back into the topic, but I'm doing shiny spheres because I saw Maxoff, was that his name? Maxoff do it so well in his renders, and I was like just trying to emulate that, right? So I think the point of it is not to get into the topic, but to get into the discussion of topics. These ideas in general that everything has to be black and white or right or wrong is just wrong. That's just not how the world is. There's many different ways to approach projects, and my favorite people, and this is why I work together and are ultimately like friends at the end of the day, is my favorite type of person is the person I could sit with and discuss those things and get a little heated about, and then buy him a beer and move on with our day, right? I think there's so much of this, like, you're right, I'm wrong, and we're enemies BS that's happening in the world today. It could be politics, it could be PC and Mac. Like, this has been going on forever, and there's something that is a part of humanity that keeps wanting to find the black and white side of things. And my favorite discussions of all things, and I think when you want to get to the truth, my favorite discussions are two people that have a almost completely different opinion, or maybe subtly different opinion, really getting at the fine details of what they really believe. And it's that fringe, it's those little fringe areas where actually minds can be changed, if that makes sense. Like, it's really hard to say something and fundamentally change the way other people think. You can't say, think about politics. It's very rare somebody angry on Facebook is going to completely change the way another person thinks. However, if you get down to the fringe area, the place where that actually meets up and makes gray, that's where minds could be changed a little bit, a little centimeter here and a little inch here. And that's where I think the discussion is fun. It's more interesting. And yeah, I encourage anybody to say what they mean. And then be able to change their mind tomorrow. I think that's one of the best minds that's the best mentality I like being around. I like having that mentality. I enjoy that stuff. So thanks for arguing with me for an hour, guys. That was fun. Let's do it again.
Anytime.
Let's go.
Anytime.
Come on.
But yeah, definitely put comments of other things you think that the three of us might disagree with each other on, and then we can go figure it out. Of course, it should probably be in the realm. It should be in the realm of CG on one level or another.
Probably. Doesn't have to be, but yeah, okay. Could be about what brand coffee do you like better?
Oh, now I have some opinions.
That's fairly innocent, though.
That's true. Well, what's next, guys? I know, Chris, we've been talking about, it's almost time for one of the silliest days of the year. And for those of you, I don't know, is April 1st, like April Fool's, like a worldwide phenomenon? Like,
I know it's also in Britain. I found that out recently, but I don't know if it's worldwide.
So for those of you that don't know this tradition, at least how I know it, is basically April 1st is April Fool's Day, and it's a day in which you are open to pranking or otherwise just kind of messing with people.
I guess most people probably know what it means, even across the world, because of how many websites decided to start getting involved a few years ago. Where on April 1st, you can't trust anything on the internet, even more than usual.
That's right, yeah.
Or it's like you go to Blizzard Entertainment and it's like, oh, fake characters in the video game, and you go to Google and they're like, oh, you can smell your screen now, and they've always done really weird things. So it's kind of across the internet. So I think most people probably know what the heck we're talking about.
So quick update: it looks like there's a version of April Fools in many countries. It's not always on April Fools. Sometimes it's in different parts of the year. But the tradition looks pretty widespread here. So, yeah. So
we are going to discuss pranks to pull on motion designers. And
mine aren't specifically to that. Mine are my favorite pranks that I've participated in.
Let's try to figure out ways that you can spin it to maybe our industry. There are a few go-to pranks. Basically, it's for anybody that's working in the studio that is on a computer. Some of my pranks will work on, but
I don't have any actually that are office environment ones.
Really? Are they all just like home pranks?
Mostly.
Okay, well then you go first. Why don't you talk about some of your home? Because I might use them on my kids.
All right.
Well, this is good. We could use these.
Yeah.
Everyone out there listening could use these on their friends later.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, these are going to be instructional.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, like, these are for everybody. I've also got another thing. This is very, very important to me, and I want to make sure to spread the word on this. Is that I feel like there's two different types of pranks. There's positive pranks and negative pranks, and what I mean there is I feel that the fake winning lottery ticket is one of the most evil things you can do to a person, because what you're doing is you're giving them something, they think they got something, and then you take it away, and that's the funny part. But it's not. It's cruel. But if you do something to them and then at the end of it they're relieved that it didn't happen, they're ending on a positive. So there's a big difference between those two, and I've always thought that the lottery ticket thing is so awful.
What if it's revenge for a prank?
Well, that's different.
So revenge is fair game.
Like, you can do like the escalating, alternating ones, and those can be fun, but those are also pretty cruel. Like, you can like really mess people up. I tend to like the more innocent things, like kind of little throwaway ones. And I'm also super against it's just a prank, bro. It's like, that's not a prank. Like, you smack them,
hit them in the face.
Yeah, you punch them in the face. That's not a prank.
Okay, so violence is a hang up.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's not great.
I agree.
mean, you can drop a bucket of water on their head. I guess you don't want to hurt them, but punching them is not a prank. But anyway, one of the early ones that I did is I've had roommates for years. Like I've been living with roommates, various roommates for the better part of 15 years now. So we've always had lots of opportunities to do this. So one that immediately comes to mind, which was an April 1st one, was a buddy bought a house, so we all were renting out of his house. So I went and I wrote up a delinquent tax document for them. And I went and I typed it up. Well, I typed up some of it, but I went to a bunch of like legalese websites and I copy and pasted random stuff where it's like at a glance this would look legit, but if you looked into it, it'd be like, what is this talking about? And I went, I put it all together, and I had a coworker at the time, a female coworker, like sign it really nicely with like a woman's name, and I folded it very nicely, and I put it in an envelope, and I stuck it in the door so it looked like it was hand delivered. Like this was like, oh, like a tax collector came by the house and put this here, and waited for the roommate to go find it, and when he did, he picked it up, and he went out to get the mail, and I was in the living room at the time, and he goes and he grabs it, and I hear it fall from the door, and he bends down, and he picks it up, and he's there, and he's opening up, and I had to like leave the room immediately because I was like already laughing. So I go into the kitchen, I'm like hiding in the freezer so that I don't laugh out loud. It's just, but like, yeah, he was, I think it was like $500 or something that he's out. And he's just like, dude, I don't know how this happened, but apparently I'm behind in my taxes. Like, dude, this is gonna be rough. Like, I don't have this money right now. It's just like, dude, I love little things, but I've got.
So that's such a borderline mean thing. But
no, but but he's relieved at the end. At the end, you're like, you don't have to do it.
I definitely, I don't. I think that's a great prank, and I would have no problem doing that prank to somebody. That's hilarious. So, what was his reaction when you told him that it was a prank?
I think he was. I don't know. I can't specifically remember, but he was relieved. Like, dude, I thought it was really going to happen. He says the word "dude" a lot, but
oh my God,
he's like, dude, I thought I had to do it. I don't know how it happened. Like, it's so ridiculous. It's a super short one, so I'll squeeze it in here as well. But I have others I want to talk about. But I had roommates who were smokers, and I don't like smoking in general. Like, it was never in the house or anything. But one of them at one point left a cigarette just laying around on like a counter or something, and I went and I stole the cigarette, and then I took a sparkler and I shaved the sparkler down to be really short, and I stuck it in the cigarette. The crazy part though is
that's like a load.
Yeah. Oh, it's so like I didn't even read about that or anything. I'm sure that's like a thing other people do, but I was just like, oh, dude, I can totally put a sparkler in there, and I had some. So I like put it back on like the same place, and somehow the cigarette got like transported into like one person's room, and it was sitting on the dresser, and then someone else took it, and it like traveled around and didn't get used for the longest time. And then we're moving out of that house into a different house, and not the person I was trying to prank with it ended up with this cigarette, and he's moved he moved a whole bunch of stuff into his car, and he's getting ready to leave. He's climbing in the car, and he lights the cigarette.
Oh my God, he could have killed somebody.
Like, well, he wasn't driving yet, but that's what I mean. Like, this was like 3 months after I set it up before it actually executed, and just like sparkler going off immediately. Like, I don't know.
That's amazing, dude. I'm just picturing somebody lighting that up and like their full eyebrows are singed. Oh my God. That's awful. And because you've heard of, you could get loads. Remember those? Like they were actually
like a pop kind of thing.
Yeah. It was like a really small firecracker that you would put into a cigar or into a cigarette. And like, it was the same idea, only it was like an explosion. I always wanted to buy those because you'd see them like in the back of comic books when you're growing up and stuff, and you're like,
yeah.
Oh my God, it's like the best prank ever. And then you just never do it. But the sparkler was a good idea.
Yeah, it was pretty great. I liked it a lot.
Awesome.
All right, you got to do one, Chad.
All right. We're on the home prank theme, so I'll do that one, I guess. One thing that you realize when you have kids is that they're really fun to prank, mainly because they're kids and they're not cynical adults yet who look at everything with apprehension.
Yeah,
So,
you have to teach them that.
this isn't. I mean, this is exactly. So they love April Fool's Day, and I'll just start with one of their pranks that they like to pull, which I admittedly fell for one time. It's a silly little prank, but it's fun to do. If you're like me and you have a house and you got kids, then you got like 20 boxes of cereal in your house. What they'll do is it's a really simple prank. They'll just like swap the bags of cereal. Like, so then you're like, you grab your, whatever, your Captain Crunch or whatever, and out comes Cheerios, and you're just waking up. So you're just kind of like, wait, what? And then you like look at the box again. So it's like,
I love that. That is amazing.
That's a real simple kid prank.
Good one.
And then the prank that I did to them that, I kind of regretted immediately after doing it to them. It was probably like, I don't know, it was when One Direction, the boy band, was like really popular. It's probably like 2 or 3 years ago or something. And they were really into that group. I mean, like really into it. And it was about the time that those, what's the name of those videos that like, have like, they'll show the video of the person performing, but it's overdubbed with like really horrible version.
Musically?
Of the song. No, it's like
no. I know what you mean. Shreds.
Yes, thank you. So somebody did an amazing shreds of One Direction singing like their hit, and I woke up in the morning and I went downstairs. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, the kids are sitting at the table. I'm like, somebody just released a video of One Direction without any of the auto tune. Like, this is what they really sound like. And I played it for them and they started crying. And they were like, no, it can't be, no. And they were so upset, dude. Like, oh, I just crushed their world. And I was immediately like, this is not the reaction I was looking for. And I was like, I'm so sorry. No, this is just a joke. It's not really like that. And they were so mad at me, dude. Like, my wife was all pissed. Oh, that's yeah.
That's amazing. And Shreds videos, if you guys aren't familiar with Shreds videos, you should look some up because they're pretty great.
Yeah, they're hilarious, man. Like, those things are, yeah, just go look them up. But all right, that's my home prank. Nick, what do you got for a home prank?
Oh man, I can't think of a big home prank right now. I got a good office one. I get started. I might just have this one only because when I think about these kind of pranks, one of them stands out in my head, mostly because of the reaction from the other person. I mean, I think that's really why you do these things, right? Is to like get somebody like flustered or riled up or whatever. And one that sticks out in my head is I was working at Digital Kitchen. And so this is if you work in a big office environment where you have a lot of computers all kind of synced up to each other, you could totally pull this one off, guys. It's super fun. And it is, you usually have to do it to somebody new because once you do it to one person, then the word gets out and everybody in the office knows. But the new guy, you can always prank him. And so in this case, the new guy was Jason Esser.
Oh, I have a couple of Jason Esser ones too.
And Jason's such a great guy because he's such a friendly guy, but he's also like he can also like be flustered. Like at least when he was a new guy, right? He could be flustered. He's like,
that's like
what's
the
happening?
perfect person. That's a perfect person to do it.
He is the ultimate. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
so
he's
good
a good guy to do pranks on because he's just such like a lovable guy too. But also like could be flustered. So as all the computers were all tied up together, specifically the IT person could control anyone's computer at any time without them knowing. Now we all knew this, and we all knew that it was just take over our mouse and like pull a prank on us. But Jason did not know this. So he would log into Jason's computer randomly throughout the day and just start taking control of his mouse and his keyboard and would go up and start not only moving his mouse around, but also go up into Google and start Googling like really rude things into Google. And like try to get like images on the screen and stuff. And Jason's like, it's not me. It's not me. And we're all like, I don't know, man. It's on your screen. I don't know any other way that this could be. And he's like, guys, this is not me. Right. So that was he he would do it so sparingly that it didn't have this thing. Like if he did it all the time, you would be able to pinpoint it, but he did it so sparingly. He would just like sometimes just move the mouse, like log in, move the mouse a little bit, and then open up a new piece of software and close out. And it made it just enough to where he would start calling IT, and he's the guy doing it, right? So, hey man, something's up with my computer. You got to come fix it. So he come up.
You have to
and he's
explain that. Like when you worked at a studio like that, if anything was going weird with your system, there was a full-time person working that was their job to fix it. So you would always just be, calling that person. So I think it's important for people to kind of understand that.
Yeah, this is good. A lot of studios don't have this anymore. Yeah, so he would call the same person that's actually pulling the prank on him. So he would come up and go like, hey, describe to me what's going on. How's it happening? He's like, dude, you know what? My mouse is moving. Sometimes it'd be like just type words. I don't know what's going on. He's like, and he would kind of make him feel bad, like it's his fault. He's like, yeah, nobody else's computer is doing this.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So he just kind of slowly make him like a little bit weirded out. And it really came to a head when he was also really competitive, as we all were actually, but extra competitive Call of Duty player. And we'd have these.
Oh my God, yes.
So we would have giant Call of Duty battles in the office, just to like blow off steam in the middle of a busy day. Or at like 5 o'clock for half an hour, we'd go play. And he was really good, but also really competitive. And the IT guy would log in while he was playing, and especially when he was winning, and just start slowly moving, like he'd be running the right way and like trying to capture the flag, whatever. And he'd just move his mouse, like have him do a spin in the middle of it. And
I remember those days, dude. He was so mad.
Just subtly enough to where he's like, "This is bullshit,"
Oh, he would just scream.
It's so good.
I think he threw his mouse a few times.
I sat next to him. I had a couple battle wounds, some battle scars. But that was the perfect one, because once it was all figured out, he's like, oh my God. He started connecting the dots of all the weird things that was happening to his computer over the last, couple months. And he's like, all of it. You jerks, all of it, once he started figuring it out. But that was
you start realizing the dedication someone had to have to mess with you. And it's like, why would you even do this?
He was actually I've got a couple of ones of Jay. One of my favorite ones is I went to my wife's family reunion in Arkansas, and I was a goal of mine to score some authentic moonshine while I was down there, and I managed to get a jar. It was like a mason jar of moonshine. This stuff was terrible. It was you couldn't even like hold it in your mouth. It was so nasty. And I brought it to DK, and I brought it to the office as like a joke, like to see if anybody would drink it. And of course it sat on a shelf and nobody would drink it, and it just sat there forever. And Jason's desk was kind of on the way to the kitchen, and he always had a glass of water, like a giant, like clear glass of water, always, every day, just a glass of water sitting on his desk, and just drink it throughout the day. So one day he gets up to go to the bathroom, and I had this idea. I'm like, I'm gonna fill Jay's water glass with moonshine. And so I dump out his water, and I like measured how far, I had my finger where his water level was, and I made sure that I like poured it out and kept my finger there. And I like filled it up with moonshine to the exact level, and I just set it back on his desk. And I waited for him to take a drink of the moonshine. And I'm kind of glad that it happened the way that it did, because it was around lunchtime. So he was getting up to go eat lunch, and he grabbed his water as he left his desk, and he like put it in his mouth, and then just as fast as it went into his mouth, it just like he spit it everywhere at that exact moment. And luckily he wasn't in front of his computer. He was just like, oh my God, oh what like he did not know what was going on. Like he didn't know what he drank or what was in his mouth, but he immediately ran into the kitchen and was like under the sink, like washing his mouth out. Oh my God, we were laughing so hard. But that's not even the best one, the best Jay one. I've been saving.
I gotta jump in. And
all right, I'll save it. I'll save it for the next one.
All right, it's another whole one, and it wasn't even that this was a prank, but the reaction is so amazing. I have to tell it. So once again, roommates, and one of the roommates, his room kind of turned into like the hangout room where he had a big TV. So we're all in his room at one point watching a movie, sitting around a table, and he had a big. He would get the big packages of Irish Spring bars of soap, and it would be like a 12-pack. So there's like 12 bars of soap in the box. So we were just sitting there watching the movie, and for no reason, I just took a box of it and I opened it up. And while we were watching the movie, I just carved into this bar of soap the word moo, just MOO. Just it wasn't even a reason or anything. It was just something I was fiddling with. But then when the movie ended, I had this bar of soap in the box, and I was like, okay. I took the bar and I put it back in the box, and I went in my room and I glued it shut again and put it back where I found it. So it was just a bar of soap resealed in the package, and now it says the word moo. So, like, once again, months go by. I have like almost no recollection that this happened. Like I said, it wasn't even a prank. It's just a thing I did. So the same roommate that I did the letter to, he asks to borrow a bar of soap. So a different person now has this bar of soap. So he's handed this bar of soap, and he goes down to take a shower, and he opens up the box, and he pulls it out.
So random.
He pulls it out, and he sees it says the word moo. And so he's racking his brain trying to figure out why in the world a box of soap would say moo. And so the answer he comes up with is, at the factory, there was a disgruntled employee, and they poisoned.
What? They poison?
A disgruntled employee poisoned a bar of soap. But here's the brilliant part. That a disgruntled employee might have poisoned the bar of soap, but they wanted to make sure that they didn't accidentally use it themselves.
Why would they? That is the most ridiculous.
So they carved the word moo into it. So with this in his mind, and he's worried now that his bar of soap is poisoned, he just scratches off the word moo with his fingernails, and he figures that's good enough, and then goes on to use it.
Like all the poison was concentrated on the letters.
Yeah, I can just use my fingers. That'll get rid of the poison.
Here, I got this.
That
would be so random. Like if you open that up, you would be honestly like, how did this even happen?
Why would someone do that? I like the question, I like the mystery, and that's why this guy was like the best to pull pranks on, because his mind would go to the weirdest places. Kind of as an extension, he hated condiments. He didn't like any kind of salt and pepper. Like that's all he would use. Like no ketchup, no mayo, no mustard, no barbecue sauce, nothing. Everything blank, like generic bland food. But we'd go to Fazoli's often. He liked Fazoli's. So he had leftover breadsticks. And so it was April 1st, and I was going around trying to figure out all my pranks I was going to do to everybody. And so I cut open the bottom of one of the breadsticks, and I filled it with hot sauce, and I just put it right side up and put it back again. And it's like, okay, it's straightforward enough. Like, okay, there's hot sauce in the breadstick. But then the next day he reheats it and then goes to eat it, and it gets hot sauce.
It's probably like spewing hot sauce.
And immediately, instead of him going like, oh, it's April 1st, Chris did his pranks again, he was like, okay, the employees at Fazoli's were angry at me for going up and asking for extra breadsticks. So one of them poisoned it.
Is this the same guy? You said
the same guy again.
He's like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. He goes to these elaborate explanations for things. So he threw out the whole meal. So I felt a little bad about that.
Pranking that guy would be a blast, because you would just get
so much fun.
All this like weird conspiracy theories.
It failed. It failed, but that same guy, he hates condiments. So I went and I emptied out his toothpaste tube and replaced it with horseradish.
Oh my god!
But it didn't work. It didn't work because it reacted with the residual toothpaste, and it like turned it to this crazy color. But like the horseradish sauce and toothpaste have a pretty similar color, but it turned it like bright yellow, so it didn't work. But that would have been amazing if you went and he brushed for a split second.
Oh my god, that would have
he never would have forgiven me.
Oh
like
my
ever.
god!
Oh my god,
Dude.
He's so much fun to prank.
That's a good one, man. Now it's like got my brain moving about all the stuff I want to do. That's too good. Well, I'll tell you my last J one. So Jay, it's another J prank. so we sometimes, it's another DK, and I did most of like my office pranking, I think, at DK for some reason. I think it's
that's
because
just the culture.
it was yeah, the early on, the culture was just like a lot of hijinks going on. And yeah, we used to do these schools would come in for studio tours all the time. Like, you know, different schools would bring their motion design class or whatever, and one of one of us would like lead the tour around. And of course nobody really wanted to do it, but Jay seemed to like it. And we would make fun of him for liking to do it so much, and because usually it was like a class full of girls or something. And this one time we heard about it at the meeting, the Monday morning meeting, that there was going to be like a girls' school class like coming by, a college. And Jay like threw up his hand really fast to be the one to, at least that's the way I'm remembering, and I could be wrong, to volunteer. So we had this idea that in the time that he was going to leave his desk to go up there and meet the group of students, we were going to do something to his desk or do something to his computer. We didn't really have an idea what yet, and so we knew it'd have to be fast. So we waited for the receptionist to say that they were here, and you could kind of see them from the studio. And so Jay like shot up out of his seat and he like ran up to go grab them. And so immediately the joke was on, and for whatever reason we decided to just put as many Care Bear images on his screen as we could find, like open JPEGs, changes his canvas and everything, like to Care Bears. Everything's Care Bears. And so we see him start to do the tour, and like he's like, and over here we have, you know, the edit suite, and this is where the editor works, and this is where this happens and that happens. And he's slowly making his way to his desk, and it's not shot a glance at his own desk at any point during this time, till finally he comes into the pit where all the artists are, and his desk is right there, and he stops at his desk, and he still doesn't look at his desk, and he's like, and anyway, and this is where I work, and this is my workstation, and this is where I do all my stuff. And he goes and he shoots a glance, and he does like a double take, and he's like, he goes, oh, way to go, guys, thanks a lot, guys. He's looking around, and we're all like headphones on, like not paying attention, and we're like, what? And all the girls are like, wait, what is he? Is he working on Care Bears? He's like, I'm not working on Care Bears. And he's just like all really mad about it. And he's like, thanks a lot. Oh, they like to play pranks around here. And but the thing was, like, only a couple people knew. So everybody was legitimately just working, like not aware, not giggling or anything. So it was like so uneasy, and oh, it was so uncomfortable. It was the best. Yeah, I miss those days.
Well, I don't have another one.
You don't have another one?
No, that's
Chris and I'll keep going.
No, I don't. I don't have a. I'll think about it.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
It's not a big one. It does kind of go into Office one, where like you get the generic ones, but they can be really fun. I had somebody who. Yeah, one of the best old ones, because it's so fast to do back in the day. It might still be fast, but I just haven't done it in a while. Where you just take a screenshot of their desktop, and then you go into like MS Paint and then full screen it with the screenshot, and it's just not, it will not respond. Classic. So that's great.
That's a classic.
But then there's, I did it again, but I opened up, they had this picture, is like a model photo of Shakira as his desktop. And I photoshopped another friend's face onto her body, and it stayed that way for way too long. Like,
well,
as
he didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it was an extended period that he did not realize that it had a different person, a guy friend's face on Shakira's body. And it was extra confusing too, because it was a screenshot with all the desktop icons behind the actual icons, so they all lined up perfectly. But then when he's trying to rearrange it, there's like, why is the icons replicating and all? It's like, do you notice that's the wrong face? Or are you just cool with that? Well, that's what I always found, like screenshot and then flip it upside down.
I was working on a NEB presentation, and I'm getting ready to show off some things that you could do to cinema, right, to speed up your workflow and all this stuff. And I was kind of demoing to myself like how I'm going to do this part about changing the defaults for the cubes and the spheres and the torus. Like almost any object in Cinema 4D, you can change the defaults. So that when you click, like literally when you click cube, it doesn't have to say cube. It could say moo, like it could say whatever you want, right? So I wonder out there, maybe somebody could do this to their friends, Cinema 4D. Go to their like sphere or cube, go change the default name of an object and maybe even the size and shape of it. Like you could change anything you want with it. Then you can go to edit in Cinema and you can go down to set as default. And what that means is next time they go pick a sphere or cube, it'll actually be called whatever you call it.
Oh, you know what would be the best? Because you gotta go subtle. You'd name the cube sphere and the sphere cube.
Oh my god, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, so there you go. There, I'm trying to think. We got some Cinema 4D friends out there. What could they do? I'm thinking that one. You could also do it with the text one, by the way. If you go in and the default when you go to the mo text is just says text.
Oh yeah.
You could actually go in there and change what that says. Like maybe I'm watching you or something, like little spooky maybe. So you can make not just the text up in the object menu, but the actual text down in the
like a spline, a text spline or something. When you open it, it could say whatever.
So you could definitely do that. I'm just trying to think of some other ones. I was thinking like the After Effects mess up sound, which is like that sheep noise. Yeah. I was trying to think of something fun you could do with that. That might be good. Like try to mess with somebody.
I don't know if you can record custom sounds on it, but you get, and I think it's just kind of an evil prank. But those beepers, you can buy like this little prank beeper thing, and it will randomly emit a high pitched beep at completely random intervals, so you can never track it down.
That's just gonna drive somebody insane.
Can you imagine if you did that, but you could record a custom sound on it, and you record like the After Effects error sound? So that's like good. Just like once or twice a day, like it just randomly you hear the sound of After Effects failing. You're like, oh crap.
There's always the other classic that I love, which is putting tape on the over the laser part of the mouse, like clear tape.
Yep,
that's a classic.
Rearranging a couple keys on the keyboard.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Like just do a subtle change. You gotta be subtle with those, or you can type something. Have it say something, which is fun as well. But
yeah, just enough. I like the cube to sphere, sphere to cube idea because it's just enough to make you go like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah, it would seem like a bug. It would seem like a glitch where you'd be like, all right, I'm going to restart Cinema. Like, oh, it's still there. Okay, I'm going to restart the computer. Like, what the heck's going on here? Like, I don't think a lot of people even know about the set to default thing. It's not a thing you do too commonly.
No.
Yeah,
I know about it, and I still almost never use it.
It's something that I rarely use because of tutorial reasons. Like I don't want my defaults to be different from the students or the people watching. But I could see as somebody that's working on a project very specifically, like if you always use smaller objects, like if you're working always in a smaller scale, let's say, and you click the sphere and it's always like twice the size or 8 times bigger than you need it. I could see like changing those defaults and saying, when I click a sphere, I want a little baby one with these facets and with this geometry.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day when you made a cylinder, it always had 8 height segments for no reason, like a cylinder with 8 height segments. They eventually changed it so it's 0 height segments. But that was the only thing I'd ever change the default of. It's like, why is there 8? Like every time I make a cylinder, I'm setting it back down to 0. So that was the only time I change it.
See, now I want to go see if it changes in the interface.
I recommend messing with people's. You should just mess with people's scenes when they go to lunch. Like we've done that. Like that. I mean, obviously save a copy, but like I remember Todd Kumpf. Like we were doing something with cars. I think I told you guys this story before. We were doing a job with cars, and he was prepping like 20 car assets, and they were all lined up in his scene. And he went to lunch, and we turned his scene into a used car lot, complete with like a parking lot and an office and those like crazy wavy guys. And we turned and we had people walking because we were using 3ds Max at the time, which you could like populate scenes with people, and they would just walk around. And we had like a whole, like we literally took his entire lunch hour and constructed this amazing car scene, a used car lot. And he came back, he was like, what the hell is this? I mean, it was way funnier to us. It really wasn't like that big of a prank, but it was just.
I think that's ultimately, I think what I'm hearing in even these stories, which is the prank is not for the person.
Oh, no.
The prank is
never for the person.
Like, it's almost like their reaction isn't really necessarily the funny part. it's just being able to like sit in the back and watch it play out.
Oh
it's the domino that you set up, and then you just get to watch.
Oh man, like I remember there used to be before we pranked Jason, we used to prank Eric Anderson. Remember Eric Anderson?
Oh, Eric, I love Eric.
Yeah, he's so great. Eric Anderson was a creative director at DK, and he's a funny guy, but he was kind of he was also kind of skittish and weird about certain things, and like dirt and hair was kind of and like the thought of being of like getting sick from something was like his Achilles heel. And we had a wig around the office from when I think you guys, before I was there, you guys recorded something with a wig, somebody wearing a wig. It might have been one of those cinema those like movie.
Oh, the movie trailer or yeah. I know what you're talking about, the theater.
Yeah.
The theater
Yeah.
animations.
So it was like this like curly haired wig laying around, and we'd put it on for fun and just screw around. But one day I took a lock of the curly hair and I cut it off, and I taped it to the receiver, like the mouthpiece of his phone. Just because we had the office phones and we used them a lot back then, and he had his own little office that had a big clear window so you could see him in there all the time. He was just on his laptop doing whatever. So he left, and I taped this like very almost like pubic hair, wig hair to the mouth part of his phone. And then I told a few people, and I was like, all right, we got to call him and see if he answers it. And so we call him, and he did like the biggest prat fall of all time. Like he literally like picked up the receiver and like threw it and was like, ah! Like just like flipped out like on the floor. And he's like, what the hell was that? And we just laughed our asses off at him. And we walk in there, we're like, what's up? He's like, God damn it, that was so gross. He's like, I thought it was stuck to my hair. And like, cause he had like kind of a shaggy, like, bristly beard, and he thought it was like stuck to him. And oh my God, he was great to prank. Great to prank.
I miss those years. I miss those guys.
I know.
Well, shoot. Well, now we all have to like figure out how to work in the same office for some reason. I can't think of anything we could do like through Slack. I mean, what
not much.
You kind of lose that. The things you lose with remote working,
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, this is definitely something you lose. And I did not capitalize on this when we actually were in the same office for a while. I didn't really set up too much in the way of pranks.
Yeah, we didn't do too much of that, did we? We're too busy making tutorials at the time, I think. Well, how do you end something like that? A bunch of personal story. I know. If you guys have a good office prank, put it in the comments.
Give us ideas.
Give us ideas. Give the world ideas. Because here's the thing: the day's coming up. It's on a Saturday this year, which is a little tough, right? The office.
Yeah.
So this is already tough. You got to do it on the Friday, maybe. If you got a good one, let us know. And I like Chris's like stance on it's got to be positive, not negative. I like that. That's a good way.
Although all the ones he said were people almost blowing their faces off with sparklers.
Well, the sparkler one, that's a little outside, but yeah.
I was expecting I was like, wow, his prank game is like, if we were ever in the same office together, we would probably engage in some prank wars, which would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been dangerous, because that's when it gets dangerous, is when you get the escalation going and trying to one up each other and get revenge. Then you're actively thinking about it. But yeah, post a comment about your best prank you ever did. Post your office and or specifically Cinema 4D potential pranks. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah, that actually is a great idea. Good spin.
Yeah, cool. I just wanted to recommend too, if you guys are into some of these pranks, there's a really great series on College Humor.
Oh my God, yes. The greatest escalation of pranks ever.
Yep. And it goes over the course of years and years and years. If you guys haven't seen the kind of back and forth that these two guys do to each other for pranks, it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, it escalates all the way up to like somebody's parachute not opening when they go skydiving and stuff like that. Like they go really, really crazy with it. I'll say my 2 favorite one is that one, and then the basketball one.
The basketball one is
Is
amazing.
by far the best one.
I haven't read this. I'm gonna have to read it.
That is cruel, but they're
That is cruel.
escalating. And then there's the and then the comedy club one. Like, you feel so bad for him.
God.
It's so brutal.
Yeah, so we could describe it, but it's way funnier if you guys just go watch it.
It starts out so slow and innocent.
No, it looks legit. Like they just start pranking each other the way that we're saying, like little fun things, and it escalates over like 10 years. I want to say it just keeps going. So check that out. Good thing to watch around New Year's. I said
It's some inspiration.
April Fool's.
New Year's. That's it. Tell your friends it's New Year's.
Oh, that's a good one. Just take
change the calendar. Change the clocks.
Happy New Year's.
Change the clocks. That's a fun one.
I'm gonna think of some really good ones for my kids. I think that would be fun.
Dude,
So if you have any kid-friendly ones,
actually,
let me know.
I might execute on that cereal one. It's simple and innocent.
And it takes
is
no
a fun
time at
one.
all.
Yeah, no time.
No time. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. As always, make sure you like and subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Help us out. Yeah, we will see you next time on
I
the
think that.
Grayscale.
Hold on one second.
What?
Did we
hold
forget?
on. No, I think this is our prank. People tuned in. They're like, "Wow, we're gonna learn some great Cinema 4D stuff this episode. We're gonna learn all about business. We're gonna learn how to get our career going. Get all this stuff going, and then we just talk about pranks. So this is let's just call this our April Fool's joke to everybody.
Well, to do that, we'd have to title it something that's not pranks.
Oh, that's bad.
It's like starting your own business or something.
Oh,
and
that's
then
not good.
it gets to the end and they hear us actually coming up with the idea to prank them.
Or I think what would get some good clicks is Nick concedes, buys first PC. That would be the ultimate.
Yeah, but that might really happen at some point.
I know.
Yeah,
That's why it's like, oh my god, I got to hear this one.
Well, so if you do that,
we won't know if that happens until it comes out. So
if you do that, let's walk through it. If you do that, we could always change the title later and then to a prank thing like once the joke's over. So then we can always
just
change.
on launch day.
Yeah, launch day we could say whatever we want. But the thing is we're so far away from April Fool's, it wouldn't make sense. It'd be an early April Fool's joke, and is that good? I don't know.
Well, we could swap the image out just on that day.
Oh, okay.
And then
Let's
swap it back again.
Let's do that. All right. Everyone now the people that are listening to this before April Fool's will now know the joke. That might be a good joke.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Nobody spoil it in the comments.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Well, who reads comments before they watch the video, though?
That's right.
That's true.
Well, anybody that made it this far, thanks for listening. If you have stuff, put in the comments. And hey, as you can tell, we're also getting a little low on some ideas for the podcast. So if you have any things that you want us to talk about, put it in the comments as well. That stuff always helps. We want to talk about and discuss the things that are on your mind as well. So drop those in the comments. Thanks again for the reviews. And don't forget any show notes, which I don't think are many this time. It might be the College Humor links. If you want that, head on over to the blog or on YouTube as well. So sorry to interrupt there. I just wanted to be a little meta there for a second.
No, that's good. That's really good. Everybody, we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We gotta keep waving until it stops saying live.